Hi guys, welcome back to another GGF video review. Today I'll be checking out two new coolers from Thermaltake. We've got the NiC F4 and the NiC C4. So we got its big brother, little brother. This stuff supports up to 180 watts of cooling and we have 220 watts of cooling, hence the slight size difference. They're both 120mm fans on them. So I actually thought at first this one looked like a 90mm system, but no, it's still 120 and this is 120 as well. So we'll open them up and we'll have a look and see what's inside. First of all, I'll just check to see what, I guess the main thing is socket support. They're both exactly the same. I'll just read out what they support. So for Intel, you got 2011, 1366, 1155, 1156, 1150 and 775. So your new Haswell chips that are just released, these will fit it, no worries. AMD, we've got FM2, FM1, AM3+, AM3, AM2+, and AM2. So pretty much the previous 6 years or anything, you'll be sweet, all the way down to 775. Next thing, I guess you want to know airflow for fans. We've got 79.2 CFM, so pretty much 80 CFM at, where's our decibels? At 30.2 decibels. So that's quite a large amount of airflow there, and that's reasonably quiet. And the weight is also 688 grams as well. So just leave that one there. We'll quickly have a look at this one. CPU support on this one, exactly the same. I won't read out that again. 120mm fans again. Airflow here is a whopping 99.1 CFM, so pretty much 100 CFM coming from this unit, and the decibel is 39.9, so 100 CFM at 40 decibels, and the weight is 794. So that's pretty much, what, about 120 grams more than its little brother. So we'll have a look. Open up this one here. So the good thing I like about these coolers is they come with quite an in-depth instruction manuals for the different sockets. They're really good, easy to follow. This is our little box of accessories. I'll go through that in a tick. Our two fans. I haven't seen these fans before from Thermaltake. I don't know if they're new, but they look pretty sweet. I guess if you're doing a red theme case or something, they'll go well. And here's the cooler itself. That's it there. And you've got the base. I'll go over those in a little bit. And inside the box, these will be all the accessories. So we got your brackets that'll screw onto the cooler, and that'll screw it down onto the motherboard. You've got your bolts and whatnot, thermal paste from Thermaltake. And we've got our little fan retention brackets. That's what will hold your fans on, stop them from moving, and your backplate. So they're pretty much universal. Intel on one side, you switch around for AMD on the other side if you're using AMD. Okay, over to its big brother, the C4. Actually feels a bit more heavier than the little bit more than it was rated than the small one. But alright, so exactly the same manuals there. I'm probably going to guess that the mounting is going to be exactly the same. They normally keep them very similar. So it looks like the main difference is this one is that the whole system sort of, well, it can be separated, but it comes as one unit, whereas the one over here is slightly sort of, you get the heatsink and then you just sort of put it together with the bracket. So this looks sort of like a closed unit. You can pull it apart. I'll go into that later on. And there's the fans. So the fans look very similar. They can't be the same because this one does do a fair bit more airflow, but they do look identical. And then inside the little accessory box, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be exactly the same, just about. Same bracket, Intel, AMD. Your nuts and bolts, same thermal paste from Thermaltake, and your looks like exactly the same retention brackets there, as you can see. And the only difference I can see is this one comes with a little potentiometer, so you can crank it low or high. So we'll go through that later on. We'll see how noisy these are. That's pretty much it for the unboxing. I'll just focus in a bit and we can see how well the actual heatsinks are done and how well the copper bases are and whatnot, and then I'll put them in a system and we'll see how we go. So what I'll do is I'll just show you how this sort of goes together to bolt onto your motherboard. I won't actually do this over a system. I'll just quickly show you how to do it here. It's really dead easy. So pretend that's your motherboard there. That goes on the back side. You bolt that up and that locks onto the back of your motherboard. Then these two go on the top side of your motherboard like so. like that, and then it's just a matter of securing this through here like that, and then you just screw these down either side like that, and that's it. And your CPU is under there, and then these just screw on like that. So you pretty much don't even need the manual. The only thing you need to make sure is what screws and bolts and nuts you need between the different height for the motherboard, and then securing these on, because these actually sit up a little bit. So that's pretty much that. It's dead easy. I've done a few similar ones to these. It just looks like they've got a new design now where this bit just goes over the top and sits on, whereas some of them you used to have to screw a little plate on the edge here. So that's great now. It's just pretty much clips over and that's it, which is sweet. And this one's going to be exactly the same. Yep, same sort of layout there. All right, let's have a look at the bases, because that's pretty important to check out. We'll see if we can get that. Okay, so it's good that we got this protective film on it. So this is sort of what they say a core contact. It's one where the actual heat pipes are sort of half cut. They say these, some people say they're good, some people say they aren't as good. I'm not really sure. That certainly is flush. I think the other one is different. I'll show you that in a tick, but that is a nice finish there. And with the other one, yeah, so it's a different design. So the actual heat pipes go slightly in more, whereas this one goes straight to the edge. So I don't really think there's too much difference. Like if there was a massive greater difference with doing it this way, they would have done it on this way. So probably for the slightly smaller coolers, doing it this way might be a bit better, and then for the larger ones, doing it like this is good. But that base is pretty crazy. I'll see if I can get something that we can reflect off that. So yeah, straight away you can see that in there. So that's literally a mirror finish right there. So that's a pretty wicked looking base right there. Enough of that. What I'll do now, I think I've covered everything. I'll put this in a system. I'm going to put this in our extreme rig that we have for our vent. I'll put it up against the water 2.0 which I've got. That's currently in there now. I don't expect these to do as good, but as I said, that is a water cooling one, so we'll see how this goes. I'll crank it up for a bit, and I'll probably run Prime 95 for about 5-10 minutes. I'm not going to do a heap of sort of benchmarks. This is just an overview, just to see what these new coolers are like, and I'll do a bit of a sound test as well and see how loud these fans are. Alright, so the cooler's now in. We'll just have a look and see how it actually looks inside the case. Okay. So it actually went in really easy. It was literally about 5 minutes. With socket 2011, I'll put a screenshot on the screen. You don't actually need the back plate. It just screws straight onto the supplied screw holes that are already on socket 2011, so it makes it really easy to put on. So you can see it fits in there nicely. One good thing about this series is it's designed to fit on pretty much any board there is. You won't get any conflicting issues with RAM or anything. So I'm going to get the mic, and this is with it on low fan speed, so that's pretty much around there now. You can't hear it. I'll just put it down on the table, but on full speed it's actually really loud. Alright, so you can hear that. It's actually quite loud. I'll take a step back. And you can still hear how loud it is. So it definitely is a monster. I guess with the beauty of having this potentiometer, you can turn it down, so you don't always need it on full ball, which is good. What I've got over here, actually I'll grab the mic again. Just gotta clip this back on. There we go. Okay, it's over here. I'll just get it so we can see that. Alrighty, so we got core temp running there. I'm going to fire up prime 95 so we can do it. I'll do maximum heat so we can actually see. I'm just trying to get this in a little bit easier so we can see it. Okay, so at the moment we're looking around sort of high 30s. It's actually pretty cold inside here. I'll say the room temperature is probably about 15 degrees, maybe a bit lower. So that's Celsius. This is a 3960X running at, I think I said before, 4.2. Vid core is fairly high. So we'll just fire this up. Okay, so I got the F4 installed now. As you can see, sort of similar to the other one we just looked at, but it is a little bit different. But it still fits in there fine, no worries at all. Now this one is virtually silent, I cannot hear it at all. I'll put the mic up to it. And yeah, there's just pretty much no noise at all. Put that back on. Alright, one thing with this one, this is PWM, this fan connector, so it's purely controlled by your motherboard. So if you've got your motherboard to sort of adjust the temperature accordingly, it'll do so with the fan, so the user that doesn't have too much control, like the C4 where it's got the potentiometer. It's not PWM, so you clearly just have to move it yourself whenever you want to turn it up or down, because the header was just a 3-pin, not the 4-pin. So what I'm going to do now, I'll just fire up the test, see the results. Straight away I've also noticed that this one's already up in the mid 30s, so it is a little bit warmer already for the CPU temp. But yeah, we'll get the results for that, and now I'll just put the original water 2.0 back in and we can see how that goes. Alright, so I've run through all the results and gathered some info. I'll put them up on the screen as well, but I might as well just tell you now while you're watching. So the C4, which is this one here, retails for around $60, which is a pretty sweet deal. $60 to $70 for that one, which is good. In Prime 95, this was anywhere between 30 degrees for idle, and it got up to 60 to 70 after the 5-minute run, whereas the 60 was at full ball and the 70 was at the low fan speed. Now for the F4, the slightly lower end edition, it retails for around $49. And in Prime 95 it was getting 35 idle and 75 to 80 at full load. Now I believe the max for this CPU is around 91 degrees and whatnot, but bear in mind that this Prime 95 test is purely just completely smashing your CPU. Most people won't be able to reenact this sort of test unless they're running Prime 95. If you got this for gaming and that, I've also did a game test on each of these. I'll go through that in a tick. And the water 2.0 from Thermaltake, that was the best performer at 25 degrees idle, and it got up to 55 at full load. But bear in mind, this water 2.0 is over $100, so you just have to weigh up whether you want air cooling and or the water cooling. I fired up Sniper 2 Ghost Warrior for 10 minutes just to test to see what playing a game was like. Now the F4 performed at 65 degrees, the C4 performed at 55 degrees, and the water 2.0 performed at 45 degrees. So those temps for gaming are perfectly fine. I was impressed with the two air coolers. They didn't sort of quite keep up with the water cooling, which is expected, but they didn't let the water cooling get too far ahead, which is good to see. That's pretty much it overall. They look great. They performed really well. They fitted in straight away. I chose socket 2011 because it is probably the smallest CPU socket room you've got. With the two double DIMM slots each side, you are sort of limited. Both of these went in fine, no worries at all, so I was happy with that. The good thing is you can screw them in with the fans on. Some of the coolers out there, you have to take the CPU fans off or the cooler fans off to get the screws in. But these ones went in fine, so overall impressed with these. Would like to thank Thermaltake for letting me review both of these, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.